Rust unwrap, right? We now what they said was that because of an SQL bug, and then caused a panic here, right? And they tried to call unwrap. Now here's the problem: if you go to this fucking social media, a lot of people are just defending Rust, say it's not Rust. Rust has no fault. It's just bullshit, right? There's nothing wrong with unwrap. We know this was a thing last year called CrowdStrike. And when that happened, they said, oh, it's all C and C++ fault because they are not memory safe. It's all C++ fault, despite it's mostly just written in C. I don't think they can use C++ in the kernel. But we understand what they're trying to say. It's just all C and C++ bug. They're all bad languages. It's all memory safety bugs. And now it happens with Rust for the exact same reason, right? It's basically a precondition violation, right? Which, if we learn the contract in C++, we know it's a precondition violation, which is something the program should not be in that state, right? Basically, it means you have a bug. And in that case, just Rust unwrap. I think I did talk about a bunch of unwrap here. The unwrap overuse is a huge problem. Sure, there are very good reasons sometimes used to crash the program. Even I would argue you should not just even unwrap. You should just crash it. Like if you have a not buffer over. Just if you have a out of bounds indexing, right? It should just crash the program. It should not allow you to throw exception or something. But here the point with Rust is that it's just overusing unwrap, right? Like you open a file, the file doesn't exist, you unwrap. You call print function. You just call the print function, print hello world. Print can also crash. It can also crash for whatever reason because the syscall can fail. You might say why would the print can fail? For example, you try to redirect it into a TCP socket, for example. And when you call print, at that point it will crash. Those are not cases that should panic, but it panics. And the unwrap overuse is a huge problem because in reality, they don't have a proper exception handling mechanism. They just end up with unwrap. What makes it even worse is that now we have AI, right? So, particularly in the Rust document, Rust, their own tutorials, right? If you go to any Rust website, they will tell you try to learn Rust, they will tell you, oh, call unwrap, blah, 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 unwrap, blah, 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 unwrap. Think of it. If you are a novice, you say, oh, you shouldn't use unwrap for whatever reason. If you are in the document environment, you try to learn Rust, and you see all these documents around you, online documents are saying call unwrap, would you call unwrap? Of course you would. Not only you would, the AI also would, because AI just learn the Rust code, right? So when you ask the for example, Copilot, ChatGPT, or Gemini, whatever, to generate code of Rust code, it will generate a bunch of unwrap. So you cannot just say that Rust language has no problem, okay? It absolutely needs to be blamed for in that case, okay? It is absolutely overused. It may be right in use case, like maybe you do have a contract, but some people say it's an SQL issue. Then the question is that why do you not throw exception when you see a person failure or something? I think what makes it even more important here is that we know that recently, I didn't talk about it, it's just about Ubuntu. They switched to not co-utils, they switched from GNU co-utils to UUtils, the Rust written co-utils. The problem isn't necessarily the rewritten Rust part, is that they use that as an excuse to switch licensing from the GPL v3 to MIT. So the GPL v3 basically prevents the system to become like some of our phones, to be basically locked down devices. You cannot replace the operating system. You cannot even install software. Like you're only allowed to install software from the Apple App Store, that kind of thing. That is what GPL v3 prevents, T-boization, right? The Canary, they did it because they don't want that license. They switched to the MIT license, right? Wow, just two people here. Yeah. So that's all the thing I want to talk about. Yeah. So I mean, at this point, I think a lot of people are making a good point that Rust is often used basically become a cult. It is a cult now, right? I don't want to debate with them for a lot of reasons. And you could also argue all this rewriting Rust doesn't make any sense when you have progressive web apps or something. Okay, that's all what I want to say. Thank you.